The laughing begins, the Galactic Assembly was full. Alien leaders from many worlds had gathered. They sat in a giant round hall, floating on chairs made of light and energy. Some were tall with glowing skin. Others had many arms or scales like dragons. All of them were powerful. All of them thought they were smarter than humans. At the center of the hall, a large screen showed a video. It was a human warship slowly entering Sector 9. The ship looked old and broken. Its engines glowed, weakly, and it moved like a turtle floating through space. One of the alien generals, a green-skinned warrior named Zarkul, laughed loudly. "Is this the best Earth can send? Look at that thing, it's not a ship, it's a flying junkyard." More laughter followed. A spiky insect-like ambassador banged the table with his claws. "This is an insult. A warship? No, it looks like a space museum piece." The screen zoomed in. The warship was massive, with heavy armor plates and strange black markings on its surface. There were no shining weapons, no visible shields, no fast movement. It looked completely out of place in this modern galaxy. "They must be desperate," one alien muttered. "Humans are finally showing how weak they really are." But not everyone laughed. At the back of the hall, a small gray alien named Virek watched quietly. His eyes narrowed. "No ship this slow enters battle on purpose," he whispered. "There is something wrong. Or something we don't understand." Back on the human ship, inside its dark command center, Commander Briggs stood silently. He was tall, calm, and serious. His eyes were cold, focused. He watched the Galactic Assembly through a live feed. He saw the laughter. He heard the mocking. Briggs did not smile. He did not get angry. He just pressed a small button on the console. Lights blinked. Systems came online one by one. Deep inside the ship, ancient engines warmed up. Hidden turrets turned silently. Old but deadly tech began to breathe again. An officer beside him asked, "Sir, shall we respond to their insults?" Briggs shook his head. "Let them laugh. That's their first mistake." The ship continued moving slowly, heading toward a nearby outpost controlled by the Empire. Scout ships flew out to greet it. They circled the human vessel, scanning it with every tool they had. No energy spikes. No sign of life. No shields. It's empty? But that was a lie. The human warship was not empty. It was quiet, silent like a beast waiting to strike. One scout pilot joked over the radio, "Maybe they're sleeping inside. Should we knock on the door?" That was their second mistake. Briggs turned to his crew. "We wait until they strike first," he said. "Then we show them why this ship was locked away for 50 years. The scout ships flew closer. One of them launched a small probe. It hit the hull and bounced off like a rubber ball, no damage. No response. Then suddenly the human warship blinked. Just once. A single red light turned on. One tiny pulse. It was a warning. Back at the Galactic Assembly, the laughter started to slow down. Virek leaned forward. "Play that again," he ordered. "What was that red flash?" A tech alien replied. "Unclear. Possibly a signal, or maybe a weapons lock." Silence spread across the hall. Zarkul scoffed. "Weapons lock? That ship couldn't lock on a turtle in open space." But deep inside, even he felt a chill. On the human ship, Briggs stood up and walked to the window. He looked at the stars, then at the small fleet that now surrounded his vessel. "They think speed wins battles," he said quietly. "They've forgotten the power of patience." A voice from Earth Command crackled through the speaker. "Commander Briggs, the galaxy is watching. Are you sure this is the right time?" Briggs replied in a firm voice. "This is the only time. They think we are slow. They think we are weak. It's time to remind them." He paused, then finished. "That Earth doesn't build ships to race. We build them to finish wars." And with that, the warship's engines let out a low, thunderous hum. Somewhere far away, sensors across the galaxy lit up. Warning alerts blared in command stations. Something was changing. Something was waking up inside the ship that looked too old to fight. And suddenly, the laughter stopped. Because the galaxy didn't realize they were not looking at Earth's weakest ship. They were looking at Earth's most dangerous one. At first, the aliens thought the human warship was just a mistake, an old, forgotten machine sent into battle by accident. But now strange reports were coming in from scout teams. The ship was not acting normal. It didn't scan. It didn't respond. It simply floated forward, like a ghost from another time. Captain Delthar, leader of the Outer Patrol Fleet, narrowed his 4 glowing eyes. "Send another probe," he ordered. A second probe launched and flew straight toward the warship's side. It should have scanned the hull, taken samples, and returned. Instead, as it touched the surface, its signal vanished. "Destroyed?" the captain asked. The crew shook their heads. "No, just gone, like it was swallowed," Delthar hissed in frustration. "That ship isn't dead. It's hiding." What the aliens didn't know was this. The ship they were facing was not just old. It was ancient human technology made for only one purpose: to survive alone, destroy without warning, and vanish without a trace. Inside the warship, deep in its core, thick walls covered in old steel hummed softly. No colorful lights, no luxury, just cold metal and strong engines built like tanks. In a quiet chamber, power cells charged up. Heavy plasma coils were slowly waking. Each piece of tech clicked into place like bones in a rising giant. Commander Briggs stood in the central command tower, watching everything on dark screens. He placed a hand on a rusted metal wall. "They think old means weak," he whispered. "But this ship was made in the fires of Earth's worst war, and it still remembers how to fight." The ship's name, engraved into the hull, had been scratched and burned from too many battles. But the letters could still be read if one looked closely. HSS Judgment. It was one of Earth's lost fleet, a group of ships too dangerous to be kept during peacetime. The Judgment had been shut down and buried in a dry dock for decades, its AI locked and its weapons sealed. Until now. And now, it was moving again. The alien fleet didn't understand. They still believed they had the upper hand. Some even took bets on who would fire the first shot. "Look at it," one alien laughed. "So slow, so heavy. If it had legs, it would trip over itself." Another joked, "Maybe humans are hoping we'll crash into it and break ourselves." While they joked, the Judgment turned silently, not fast, not aggressive, but with purpose. Scout drones flew in again, scanning every part of the ship. Their reports came back confused. No control center found. No energy core detected. No shield system visible. One alien officer frowned. "How is it? Even moving then?" They didn't know that the ship had no central brain. Its control was spread across old systems. Human engineers had designed it to keep moving, even if half of it was destroyed. It didn't need a bridge. It didn't need a fleet. It only needed a reason. And Briggs had one. He stood beside the main weapon core, staring at the long list of protocols. Most were outdated or forbidden by today's peace rules. Earth had signed many treaties, but none of those mattered now. They killed our ambassador. They blocked our trade. And now they mock us. Briggs said softly. "This is not war. This is justice." He unlocked the ship's oldest system, Protocol Black Sun. Outside, one alien frigate flew a little too close. A soft click echoed through the human warship's body, and then, for the first time in 50 years, a hidden cannon emerged from under the hull. It didn't make a sound. There was just a flash of light, and the frigate disappeared. No fire. No explosion. Just vanished. The aliens panicked. "Where did it go?" "It's not on sensors. No wreckage," Delthar shouted. "Pull back. That ship is not what we thought." But it was too late. The Judgment had marked its next targets. Back in the Galactic Assembly, the laughter had fully stopped. Many of the leaders now watched the screen with wide eyes. The tiny ship they once laughed at, had just erased a military vessel without warning or trace. An ambassador gulped. What kind of technology is this? Virek, the quiet alien who had doubted from the start, leaned forward and said, "It's not technology. It's a message." And that message was clear. Earth never forgets, and Earth never forgives. The first strike space was quiet again, but only for a moment. After the alien frigate vanished, silence fell over the nearby fleets. No explosions, no debris, just emptiness where a warship had been. 1 second it was there. The next, it was gone, like it had never existed. Admiral Jorvak of the Zalari Empire stared at his screen. His hands trembled and his voice cracked. I want confirmation. What happened to the Vrexel ship?" His officer replied, pale and confused. "It was targeted by something we couldn't trace. No heat, no light trail, no sound. It simply vanished, Admiral." Jorvak's voice dropped to a whisper. "Then, it has begun." Far ahead, the human warship, HSS Judgment, moved forward slowly, like a ghost from the past. It didn't chase. It didn't flash lights or blast music, like some flashy pirate cruiser. It just glided as if it already knew the outcome. On board, Commander Briggs was still calm. His crew was small. Most of the ship's systems were automated or run through ancient AI. There were no cheering soldiers, no celebration after the first kill. Only focus. Only silence. Briggs looked at the screen showing enemy fleet positions. Dozens of alien warships hovered nearby, frozen, unsure if they should attack or run. They won't understand it yet, Briggs said to himself, but they've just declared war with the wrong planet. Then he gave a short command. "Activate Strike Mode 1. All across the human warship, thick metal doors opened. Hidden weapons that hadn't been seen in decades rose from their compartments. Some were covered in dust. Others had strange markings from old battles. The Judgment had not been cleaned or polished. It was a weapon, not a parade ship. Red lights blinked once. Then again. And then, everything went red. The first strike was silent. From the Judgment, 5 torpedoes launched into the void, moving slow like space trash. Alien sensors barely noticed them. One officer even joked, "Are they throwing garbage at us now?" Then the first torpedo hit, but it didn't explode. Instead, it sent out an invisible shockwave, a data disruptor, designed to shut down electronics silently. In seconds, the nearest alien ship lost all power. Its lights died, its engines froze, its weapons shut off. It just drifted, dead and blind. The second torpedo hit another ship, releasing a swarm of tiny metal insects, nanobots, that crawled into vents, cut wires and melted controls from the inside. The crew screamed over open comms. Then the line went dead. The third torpedo never even hit. It got close, then split into smaller drones, each one locking onto targets with pinpoint accuracy. One by one, power cores began to explode. The alien fleet, once so proud, was now in full panic. Admiral Jorvak shouted, "Return fire! Everything we have!" Blinding lights filled the sky. Plasma beams, laser lances, missile storms, all rained down on the human warship. But the Judgment didn't dodge. It didn't need to. Its armor, built before the age of energy weapons, was thick, layered, and designed for brutal direct combat. Where modern ships use shields and quick movement, the Judgment absorbed hits like a mountain taking raindrops. Small fires sparked along its side. A few panels cracked, but the ship kept moving. Slow, silent, deadly. Briggs watched as dozens of alien ships lit up with their full force. "Strike Mode 2, he said. The Judgment responded instantly. A large cannon rose from the ship's spine. It looked like a tower, a long barrel wrapped in coils and glowing symbols. This was the Sun Lance, a forgotten weapon, banned in galactic warfare treaties. It fired once. A beam of compressed plasma, hotter than a star's core, cut through 3 ships in a single sweep. There was no time to scream. Just silence followed by explosions. From the Galactic Assembly, leaders watched in horror. Some turned away. Others tried to leave the room, but they couldn't look away. This is madness, one whispered. This isn't a warship. It's a weapon of extinction. And still it moved forward. In the alien fleet, only a few ships remained functional. The rest had been blinded, burned, or broken. One young alien captain tried to escape. His ship turned, firing its last missiles. Briggs pressed one button. A missile from the Judgment intercepted all incoming fire, exploded mid-space, and released an EMP so strong it shut down the fleeing ship's engine before it could reach safety. The enemy vessel spun helpless into the dark. Then Briggs finally spoke to the open channel. "This is Commander Briggs of Earth. You mocked our silence. You laughed at our speed. You thought we were too slow to matter." He paused. "But speed doesn't win wars, precision does." And then he shut the channel off. The galaxy had just witnessed the beginning of something they never expected. The return of human wrath. Panic in the Empire. The message from Commander Briggs echoed across the stars like a ghostly whisper. It reached every corner of the Empire's communication networks, every admiral, every fleet, every command center, and it chilled them to the bone. The human ship hadn't just attacked, it had humiliated them. In less than an hour, a single old-looking warship had destroyed a battle group, disabled fleets, and left the rest spinning in space like broken toys. Across the Empire, alarms screamed louder than ever before. In the capital, the Imperial War Room erupted in chaos. Generals, ministers, and alien leaders from all ranks shouted at once. "This can't be real. That ship should not exist. What kind of tech is that?" A hologram of the battle played on a loop above them. Again and again, alien ships exploding, fading, disappearing. The human warship slow and steady, like a machine that couldn't be stopped. Emperor Thrax, ruler of the Galactic Empire, stood frozen. His golden armor reflected the red warning lights flashing across the room. He gritted his sharp teeth. Humans were peaceful, he muttered. They signed every treaty. They backed away from every conflict. They were weak. "No, Your Majesty," a voice said behind him. It was High Strategist Ulrin, one of the Empire's oldest minds. "They were quiet," Ulrin said. "There is a difference, and we have mistaken their silence for surrender." The Emperor turned. "Then what is that ship? What is the Judgment?" Ulrin's face was grim. "A relic. A weapon Earth was forced to bury after the last Great War. We thought it was forgotten. Clearly, it was only sleeping." Meanwhile, across the outer colonies, fear spread like wildfire. At trade stations, human ships were suddenly treated with respect. Alien merchants whispered, "Don't anger the humans. Not now." On mining worlds, guards trembled at the sight of a human flag. In pirate networks, chatter exploded. "Did you hear? One Earth ship took down a fleet." "No way. Humans are slow and soft." "Not that one. They call it the Judgment. It doesn't run. It ends things. Even in black market deals, prices of human tech tripled overnight. Everyone wanted to study it. Everyone wanted to copy it. But none could understand how something so slow could be so deadly. In secret, some alien leaders met to plan an emergency response. A new alliance. A larger fleet. They had one goal: destroy the Judgment before it reached the inner systems. But deep down, none of them were sure if they even could. Back in Sector 9, the Judgment continued its slow path through space. Not chasing. Not running, just moving. Like a blade being slowly pushed deeper into flesh. Inside, Commander Briggs checked old star maps. He wasn't heading to random places. He was on a route, a path that passed through key strategic points in the Empire. Everywhere Earth had been insulted. Everywhere humans had been disrespected. Everywhere that needed to be reminded. His crew didn't cheer after each victory. They didn't party. This wasn't glory for them. This was duty. One engineer whispered, "Sir, what if they surrender?" Briggs didn't look up. "Then they'll live." And if they try to talk, then they'd better speak carefully. The judgment wasn't fighting out of hate. It was fighting out of memory. Earth had been pushed too many times, treated like a joke, like a background species. But now, every explosion, every fallen ship, every broken signal, it all sent a new message. Into the stars, humanity remembers, and humanity has returned. Back at the Galactic Assembly, panic was growing. Some leaders wanted to attack Earth directly. They've crossed a line. They are a threat to peace. But others, smarter ones, said nothing. They had seen the footage. They had seen that Earth hadn't started this war. They had only finished a battle they didn't ask for. Ambassador Virek, the same one who had doubted from the beginning, stood before the chamber. He raised his voice. Fools. You laughed at them, mocked their ship, underestimated their will, and now you want to fight them? Silence fell. He pointed at the frozen battle footage. That ship isn't dangerous because of its weapons. It's dangerous because of its purpose. Because behind that steel and fire is a human soul, full of patience, pain, and resolve. No one had a reply, because deep down they knew he was right. The judgment wasn't just a ship, it was a warning, and the panic in the Empire? It was only just beginning. A weapon. They can't stop. The alien fleet tried everything. They sent in fast ships. Nothing worked. They used cloaked drones, viral AIs, EMP blasts. They even tried sending false surrender messages to confuse the human ship, but nothing stopped. The judgment. It was like trying to fight a storm with feathers. The ship kept moving forward. It didn't rush. It didn't hide. It just advanced one sector at a time like a silent hunter that already knew it had won. Across the Empire's military channels, hopeless chatter filled the air. Target acquired. Wait, it's gone again. Our signals are jammed. We can't see anything. Who's commanding that ship? It's reading our minds. But the ship wasn't reading minds. It was learning. Old Earth programming, deep inside the Judgment's memory banks, had been designed to observe and adapt in real time. Every time an alien fleet tried something new, the ship studied it, logged it, then built a response. An alien fleet tried launching heat-seeking missiles. The next hour, the Judgment lowered its body temperature, completely invisible to thermal tracking. Another group attempted to sneak attack it with stealth ships. The Judgment released high-frequency sound pulses. Cloaked ships shook, lost control, and revealed their locations, like flies trapped in a web. Every weakness was punished. Every mistake was destroyed. Inside the ship, Commander Briggs looked at a blinking screen. Hundreds of ships had tried. Hundreds had failed. An officer beside him whispered, "They don't understand. They think this ship fights like theirs." Briggs nodded. That's because they've forgotten how humans used to fight. The Judgment didn't have a full crew. It didn't have luxury chairs or advanced diplomacy rooms. It had thick walls, deep memory cores, and weapons made before war rules existed. It wasn't part of today's galaxy. It was a ghost from an age when Earth was desperate and savage, and now the galaxy was feeling what desperation felt like. Back in one of the Central Empire control stations, General Jorvac slammed his fists on the table. "Why can't we stop this thing?" "No one answered," he roared. "Then we send our best. Bring the elite. Bring the Shadow Armada." The Shadow Armada was the Empire's most feared fleet, black ships that moved without trace, run by veterans who had crushed rebellions and chased pirates into extinction. They were fast, smart, deadly, and they were sent. 12 black ships surrounded the Judgment, moving like wolves circling a bear. At first, everything was quiet. Then one of the black ships sent a message. "We're in range. Orders?" Another responded, "Attack from all sides. Hit it fast. Make it fall before it can respond." They fired. Plasma storms lit up the sky. Missiles screamed through space. The Judgment didn't dodge. It didn't need to. Instead, something strange happened. The ship powered down. All lights went off. No heat, no signal for 5 seconds. It looked dead. Then, boom. A soundless wave of force exploded outward like a growing sphere of death. Not a bomb, not fire, something else, something old. The Shadow Armada screamed across their channels. What is this? My engines are burning. Systems locked, I can't move. Each ship shut down mid-space. Their black hulls turned white-hot from inside. One by one they cracked and fell apart, without a single bullet fired back. From Earth Command, quiet. Observers watched everything unfold. One whispered, "The Shadow Armada, destroyed and with no fight." Another added, "The galaxy doesn't know what we built back then. They never understood what we were willing to become to survive." Inside the Judgment, Briggs stood before a wall filled with names. Names of humans lost during the old Galactic War. He reached out, touching one name. "My brother died building this ship," he said softly. "Now it finally has a purpose." The Judgment didn't fight for medals. It fought because Earth had been forgotten, and now Earth was reminding the stars of what happened when humans were cornered. They didn't cry. They didn't beg. They built monsters, and they became them. The alien. Empires had laughed at a slow ship. Now they realized, speed means nothing if you can't escape your death. The hidden power in the far corners of the galaxy. A quiet fear began to grow. Not just fear of the Judgment, but fear of what else Earth had hidden. The stories spread fast. A single human warship had destroyed fleets, outsmarted elite commanders, and turned the Empire's strongest weapons into useless junk, but no one truly understood how. They wanted answers. They needed something to explain the nightmare drifting across their star charts. So the Empire sent in spy drones. Small, silent, and invisible to most sensors, these machines crept close to the Judgment, recording every detail. Its hull, its movements, the strange symbols carved into its sides. They scanned its energy waves, its exhaust patterns, and its sound frequencies. At first, the drones returned nothing unusual, but one drone got lucky, or maybe unlucky. It found an opening. A small maintenance hatch flickered open on the Judgment's side. The drone zipped in, silent as a shadow. What it saw inside was not what anyone expected. No full crew, no command center full of busy officers, no halls of engineers or guards, just one man. Commander Briggs stood alone in a dim room full of glowing wires. Thick cables were connected directly to his body, into his arms, his spine, his neck. His eyes glowed with strange light, and he didn't blink. He was part of the ship now. The drone zoomed in on his face, then his heartbeat. He wasn't just controlling the ship. He was the ship. The old technology inside the Judgment wasn't run by modern AIs or neural clouds. It was run by BioLink Control, a forbidden human project from Earth's darkest war days. A program designed to bind man and machine, mind and metal. A living pilot would plug into the ship. His body would survive, but his mind would never leave. He would think as the ship, feel as the ship, strike as the ship. And Commander Briggs had volunteered. Back in the Empire, the spy drone's data arrived. And when the leaders saw the truth, they panicked. "He's not a captain," one whispered. "He's a weapon." Another gasped. "You mean, he's locked inside that thing? Forever?" "Yes," said a third. "And that means he doesn't fear death, because he already died the moment he took command." In the Galactic Assembly, the revelation broke the room into chaos. How can we fight a ship that thinks like a man but strikes like a machine? Who built this? Who allowed it? Earth. What else have you hidden? But Earth said nothing. They didn't send messages, they didn't answer calls, they just let the Judgment move. And it kept moving, it didn't need resupply. It didn't need orders. It just followed a path. A mission that had started decades ago, long before this war even began. Inside the Judgment, Briggs stood still as the ship made course adjustments. He no longer needed a crew. He no longer slept. He didn't eat. He didn't laugh. He didn't cry. All he did was remember. The betrayal. The lies. The death of Earth's ambassador. The laughter of the alien assembly when they saw Earth's ship. And now, their screams. One screen flashed red. A new fleet had arrived. Bigger than before. Hundreds of ships, carriers, fighters, dreadnoughts, all surrounding the Judgment like hunters surrounding a wounded beast. Briggs tilted his head. "They're not here to capture me," he whispered. "They want to erase me." He closed his eyes. "Then let's give them something worth remembering." Deep inside the Judgment, ancient systems unlocked, systems Earth had ordered never to be used again. Old war codes blinked awake. Hidden vaults opened, and from beneath the ship's belly, a new weapon unfolded, something no one had seen in centuries, the Starbreaker Core. A weapon designed not to kill ships, but to collapse space itself, to erase a fleet without touching it. One flick of a switch, one scream through space-time, and it was over. Total annihilation. They came with everything they had. Over 500 warships surrounded the Judgment, forming a perfect circle in deep space. Fighters buzzed between capital ships. Dreadnoughts charged their main cannons. Cloaked bombers waited for the signal. This was the Empire's final move. The High Command had named the mission Operation Silence, because after this, they wanted no more stories, no more fear, no more whispers about a slow, deadly human warship. They wanted the Judgment gone. Inside the command ship of the Imperial fleet, Admiral Zor stared coldly at the screen. "It doesn't matter what he's become," he growled. "One man inside a ship cannot stop an empire." He raised his hand. "Begin." The space around the Judgment lit up like 1,000 suns. Missiles flew. Lasers cut across the void. Energy cannons fired in perfect waves. It looked like the end of a world. But when the smoke cleared, the Judgment was still there, burning, damaged. But alive, it hadn't fired back, it hadn't moved, it was waiting. Inside, Commander Briggs opened his eyes. Half his systems were gone. The hull was cracked. Flames danced in broken corridors. But none of that mattered. He was still connected, still breathing, still remembering. In front of him, the Starbreaker Core pulsed, like a sleeping heart. The weapon was unstable, dangerous, forbidden. Not even Earth's leaders knew if it would work. But Briggs didn't care. He wasn't here to survive. He was here to finish it. He reached forward and touched the control panel. His voice was calm, cold. "They wanted to erase Earth's name from the stars," he whispered. "Now they'll remember it in fire." He activated the Starbreaker. Outside, the alien ships noticed a change. The Judgment's engines shut down, its lights went out, and then a pulse. Not light, not heat, something else. A gravitational scream, ripping through space. It didn't destroy ships the usual way. It made their space fold, twist, collapse. Entire cruisers bent inward, crumpling like paper. Fighters vanished mid-turn, swallowed by invisible holes. One massive dreadnought imploded, pulling smaller ships into its collapse. The fleet didn't just fall. It was erased from the star map. Admiral Zor's last words were a shocked whisper. "What kind of power is this?" No one answered. Because he was gone. From far systems, astronomers watched in horror as an entire battle zone vanished from the sky. One moment, it existed. The next, only silence. In the Galactic Assembly, emergency meetings failed to calm the fear. Leaders shouted over one another. "How can this happen? They destroyed half our forces with one ship. Earth has weapons that break the laws of physics." But one voice rose above the chaos. Ambassador Virek stood and said clearly, "You called them weak. You called them slow. You laughed." He pointed at the silent screen. "This is what your laughter has cost." Back on Earth, the Judgment signal finally stopped. For hours, there was silence. No transmission, no beacon, just quiet space. Some believed Briggs had died in the blast. Others believed he had become part of the void itself, forever watching, forever waiting, and then a message arrived, A simple one. It appeared in every language across every network. We do not seek war, but if war seeks us again, we will return. Slower than you expect, stronger than you imagine. Signed, Commander Briggs, Earth Defense, Judgment. Class, and across the galaxy, no one ever laughed at slow human ships again, because now they understood. Slow is not weak, slow is patient, and sometimes the slowest ship is the last thing you'll ever see.